Hello everyone, my name is Natalie. I would like to share a couple of things about myself. I'm 20 years old and have been swimming for 12 years. I swam for 4 teams, 2 club teams, my high school, and now at DVC. In 2023, when I graduated high school, I attained lifetime membership of the California Scholarship Federation. At DVC, I achieved honor status every semester and was approved to graduate for spring 2025 with graduation honors. Additionally, I was awarded several scholarships to help pay for my educational expenses. And to add to my workload, school, social life, I work 2 jobs. Now, some of you may be thinking to yourselves, what's her deal? Why is she an overachiever? How is she able to balance her life like that? Some of you may be saying to yourselves, she's motivated. And it is true, I am motivated to achieve my goals, but not just any motivation, the right motivation. So what is motivation? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, motivation is defined as the drive or discipline to complete a task. This drive can either come from an external factor, known as extrinsic motivation, or an internal factor, known as intrinsic motivation. Both types of motivation have their own benefits. Extrinsic motivation gets quick results because it is driven by an external factor, such as a deadline on projects or homework. As the deadline approaches, it motivates you to complete the task. From my own experience, this was not sustainable. I found myself burnt out. I was ridden with anxiety, plagued with deadlines, and burdened with the expectation to succeed. So what motivation did I apply to myself? I used intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is less instantaneous compared to extrinsic motivation because it relies on personal drive and discipline. From my experience, this was more sustainable long-term because I felt more in control of my environment. Additionally, a 2017 study by the Frontiers in Human Neuroscience showed that individuals who were intrinsically motivated showed a greater number of neural pathways and a more steady flow of dopamine. What this means is that we are happier and smarter when we do the things we love because we love them. So, why don't more people do the things that they love? What do you think are some reasons that people do not pursue their interest? Oftentimes, what happens is that they find the interest, they like the interest, but the thought never crosses their mind to pursue it. Other times, they do end up pursuing it, but they just get bored of it. And sometimes, they feel overwhelmed when they realize the requirements. Intrinsic motivation is what kept me swimming for 12 years. Intrinsic motivation is why I apply for scholarships. Intrinsic motivation is why I maintain good grades. We need to find what makes us happy. We need to find what can interest us and can make us happy. When I was younger, I learned early on that saying, "I love the sport," is not enough. I have seen many swimmers quit abruptly because they experienced some sort of serious setback, such as an injury. Setbacks are common in everyday life, but they require continuous effort and work to overcome. It's good to recognize that setbacks make it more difficult for us to stay motivated because setbacks force us to find a specific reason to continue our interest. Oftentimes, what happens is that people cannot find a specific reason to feed their motivation. What allowed me to overcome my own setbacks was my solid reason to stay. The foundation of my drive is broken down into specificity, acceptance, and self-discovery. Specificity is to be specific. What this means is to find a specific reason to continue. acceptance of boredom, is to be comfortable with the idea of boredom. And self-discovery is finding an interest outside of our main focus. How was I able to attain intrinsic motivation with swim, 2 jobs, good grades, and scholarships? I achieved this by reminding myself the benefits of swimming and that I swim to make myself happy. Swimming is an outlet for stress. I can decompress my day when I train. When I am at meets, I enjoy the fellowship of others. I meet new teams, and I make new experiences. After a long day on campus and at swim meets, I find myself tired, but I know that I cannot rest until I read or study so that I can get the grades that I want. On the weekends, I find myself looking on scholarship websites. I spend hours looking for what I can qualify for. Sometimes studying can be boring, and sometimes searching for scholarships is tedious, and sometimes swimming is exhausting. What do I say to myself when this happens? I recognize it. I do not ignore it, and I am self-aware. I recognize it and tell myself that boredom is a time of mental rest. This thought process allows me to stay present in my surroundings, and I get comfortable with the idea of boredom. In my case, when I can see the monotony of swimming endless laps, I like to redirect my boredom to my technique. I take small mental breaks and watch TV. I read an article instead of searching for more scholarship programs. The goal of getting comfortable with the idea of boredom is to acknowledge it and eventually redirect this acknowledgement to something more productive. The right motivation is the key to success. The right motivation comes from within yourself. Do what interests you. Do what makes you happy and motivated. Regardless of where you are at in your life's journey, do not abandon what makes you happy. Find the right mixture of motivation that works for you. Sometimes the external pressure from extrinsic motivation can help push you to start your goals. But then you find intrinsic motivation to help sustain your efforts as you learn more about your interest. The bottom line is to find what combination of motivation works for you so that you can continue your interest long-term doing what you love. It has been an honor to be given this opportunity to speak to this audience tonight. I wish you all well in your journey, and thank you.